and welcome to another episode of the Tarot Readers Academy TV and podcast. And today I have the one and only Ellis Saller, who is here to talk to us about business and running our own sacred business. Now, this is another professional who is actively card slinging. So this is another one of our amazing guests who are in the tarot trenches, so to say, doing the do, walking the walk and talking the talk. She is also a business coach, working with people to bring their businesses to the forefront and really fulfill their life and heart purpose. Thank you so much for joining us, Sue.
Oh, thank you, Anthony, for having me here. I'm really excited to be here. So thanks again for inviting me.
So we're going to be talking about tarot biz and some of the realities of what that may mean and how we can sometimes think it's one thing and another. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started? What was your call to action and how did you find the first few steps of getting into this world?
Okay. Well, basically put, I started reading tarot when I was 17 and I'm 46 now. So it's been a while, we'll say. And I actually started as a business because I live in Austria now. And I took a life coaching course and the Austrian government didn't recognize my credentials because my credentials were American based, but I could be a tarot reader. And so tarot and life coaching are so intertwined. I mean, I just feel like the cards are just, one tool in my toolkit, number one, and also the start of a discussion that can help a person to really explore their issues, triggers, see what will work and what won't work in their lives and help them to move forward. And so I started reading tarot professionally, kind of to combine that coaching and tarot and advising.
Awesome. So. It's so true. It can be the doorway. And in fact, it's 78 doorways to a conversation about life and really delving deep into yourself. And that's one of the amazing things about the tool.
Definitely. Yeah. And the more you explore it, the deeper it gets. So that's always
yeah. And then the more decks you buy.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things when you started reading tarot at the beginning surprised you in regards to, it can be on the tarot practice side, but also on the tarot business side? Were there any expectations that you were like, or assumptions that you made?
Oh yeah, I had the basic vision, like the dream in my eyes. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm just going to start my website and I'm going to put it out there and then everybody's going to read it. And then I'm going to be making like hundreds of dollars a day. And, this was 8 years ago. And so I realized I tripped and I fell hard, at first. But from doing that, I learned so much, probably in the same respect as you and a lot of the other people who are out there. You learn how to build a website. You learn how to use design applications like Canva, and you learn about marketing. You learn about recording videos. You learn about editing videos. You learn so much. And so you become this multi-dimensional business person with so much knowledge behind you. And then you start getting into the community and making these relationships. And, I've known who you were for a really, really long time now, and I've always admired your work. And so you start getting into the community and you learn more, and then not only about tarot, but about yourself as a person and about running a business. So it's really interesting.
I think one of the things that you really touched on there that I feel comes up quite a lot, even with my clients, is don't be afraid to fail and don't be afraid of doing it wrong. I get a lot of my business mentoring clients and my tarot students saying to me, I don't want to do the wrong thing or offer the wrong product. And I'm like, Don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to experiment. This is your own business. You're never going to get the opportunity, unless you start several of your own businesses, to play and experiment as much as you want than in this space. I had offers that I no longer have anymore that I offer when I first started, because it was either doesn't align anymore, or I've evolved them and changed them. But don't be afraid of failing, and don't be afraid of the hard road, right? Because it teaches you so many skills that you're going to be able to use later. Sure, everyone's looking for like the shortcut. You know, a lot of people are looking for the shortcut to make money, but it's like the things that I've had to learn through tutorials and going really slowly, or having to hire an expert to help me for a little bit before I got my feet under it, has been invaluable moving forward.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. And you said one key word, evolve, because what you're doing today, you might not be interested in tomorrow, like you said, or, the marketplace has shifted so much. So what you were offering, 2 years ago might not even be valid, or something that your clients are looking for today or next year. This year, video and audio recordings are much bigger draw, for example, than perhaps a text-based, reading. And so you really have to learn to roll with the market, to roll with your own experimentation and what you prefer out of these things. And also, yeah, just allow it to evolve, and never take yourself so seriously that like you're just like, oh my gosh, if this doesn't work out, well, if this doesn't work out, there's 1,001 other options for you. And don't it's easy to push yourself too hard and focus on perfection, but there is no such thing as perfection. And do it, get it done, get it out there, and just work with it, and then look at that as like a stepping stone or a starting point for your next big thing, or your next try. I always consider it, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you have permission to change and evolve too. I find that some people don't give themselves permission to start. And then the other part that people really stall in is giving themselves permission to change and evolve. And that's cool too, right? So it's all, especially if you're doing this work, often it is a mirror to what is going on for you spiritually. Always in a student role with the universe. So it's definitely going to change.
Definitely.
So what do you think are some of you go, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, just, at first too, I think it's really easy to look at a large audience, but you have to consider that you're talking to one person at a time. Like each person who's watching your videos, each client that you have, each audience member is just one person. And so you don't have to really worry about, talking to every single person that's out there. Talk one person at a time, and it's going to grow that way.
It is going to grow that way, and that's the best way for it to grow, is slow and steady, because that way it's more organic. And it's true, you say one person, it's true, one person is going to be seeing your post on their phone, or watching your video on YouTube, or seeing your stuff on Facebook. So it's true, we only have one, if we're blessed with eyesight, we only have one set of eyes, right? So one person, and that's just focus on, I think that's a beautiful reminder.
Thank you.
So what do you believe are some of the realities that are maybe fantasized about, or people, maybe there are some people who are saying, oh, it's not this and you can do all this, but what are some of the realities you think you want to make people really aware of, not from being a hard master, but just from your experience?
Really, one of the most important things is keeping good boundaries. I know, like my time, I have 3 children, and I have sat there and, when I was first starting out and they would come, mommy, let's do something. And I'd be like, no, I'm doing these readings and everything. This is when I was doing free readings too. So I wasn't getting paid for my time. And I missed so much of my kids' time, kind of doing things that I shouldn't have been done, that I should have been putting boundaries on. Have office hours, have days that you work, days that you're off. Keep, allow yourself to say no. I think a lot of us are just at the beginning, especially, like really kind of, what's the word, schlepping for work. I don't know what you would say, and so you're like, yeah, I'll do that. And in your stomach, it's not feeling right. And you're just like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. And then you end up, number one, the energy is off in your readings, in your interaction with these people who you shouldn't be working for and with anyway. You get frustrated with yourself, you get frustrated with your clients. And one little word, no, can, just stop all of that negative energy bleeding into your workspace and into your profession, because this can be a beautiful, magnificent experience. Working with tarot is, kind of such a blessing. I go into work every day and I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. Wow, these people are cool. Wow, this and that and the other thing. But there are people who will suck all of the energy out of me gladly and for zero payment. So no is a good thing to learn. And also trusting your gut with clients. If somebody reaches out to you and says, oh, hey, la, 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 and you get this, I've had it before, you get this really strong pull in your stomach, like, no, you have to learn to trust that. In the same way, when you're reading cards, to trust that intuitive message coming through, trust your intuition with your clients as well, because that's going to be really key about your energy in your work. And energy is I'll talk about energy and then I'll talk about something else. But energy is one of the things that I'm looking through people's websites now, and I'm evaluating their social media and analyzing their stuff. I'm really kind of both creative and analytical. And you can tell when somebody is not putting energy into their work at all. You can look at their social media or in their videos or whatever, and you can tell that there's something off, even if there's content there, even if they're posting continuously daily, but there's just missed something that's in there. Either they're trying to be somebody that they're not, or they're not fully expressing themselves, because this is a big, huge field. And some of us, even myself in some ways, I connect with various different things. I connect with angels, I connect with Wiccans, I connect with pagans, I connect with this and that and the other thing. And I can't rein myself in. I can't be anybody except for Sue, and I don't want to try and be Ethany. I don't want to try and be, Teresa. I don't want to try and be anybody else. I want to be me. And that unique and original energy of who I am needs to come out, or else it's going to look and feel wrong. So
absolutely, authenticity is key, and people are going to see it. Like I remember getting around that block a little while, like quite a few years ago, but it was like, oh, I have a corporate background, like from many moons. And so, I was used to being in meetings and being very formal, where I'm a right silly person. Like I really am. I will burst out into song anytime. I'm a goofball. I'm a nerd. Like total gamer geek, like, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to be, who I am. So, and you're going to find the right people being who you are anyway. So
right.
You can't please everybody. And if you try to bend over backwards pleasing people, they're the ones that are going to mess you up the most, because you're shifting all of your dynamic to incorporate somebody else instead of being true to who you are.
Right. Exactly. And another thing is, you might have to keep your day job when you first start reading tarot as a profession. And unfortunately, I think that there are people out there in our community who are like, no, if you really want it, just put all of your magical energy into doing it. And it's just like, it takes a while to build it up. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen, you know, even I've seen people even only put 3 months into it, and then they're like, I want to quit because I've put 3 months into it. It's just like, it can sometimes take years. There are a lot of us out there, and that's okay. It's beautiful. It's brilliant. But at the same time, it's taken every single one of us. I mean, in the background, like I said, I've been working at this for 8 years. And so if you are working on relying on this for your income, it's going to take a while, you know, just to be brutally honest, it's going to take a while, and don't give up your day job. Yeah.
And any business that seems like it's an overnight success actually usually isn't, unless they've had some unbelievable amount of capital, like they've taken out a second mortgage or something. Usually isn't. It's usually a lot of underground work that you haven't seen for a very long time, and then you reach the tipping point, and then it's like people start to notice you, or you start to make an impression, or whatever it may be. But yeah, I agree with you. It takes years, and it took me, when I moved from being a face-to-face reader only and in fairs and doing events in Australia and being known in that community, and then I moved to Canada and I had to start all over again. I think I'm into year 5 of my business online, and it took time, and I had a son in that time too, but it took time for it to like start to the momentum where I'm like, okay, cool, I can. And I had a job. I had a muggle job when I was here for a year, and then and I just invested it back as much as I could back into my business, and used my spare time wisely, and said no to a few things, and hustled a lot. But yeah, allow time, because if you're meant to be doing the work, if you're meant to be doing this, or you feel like this is your calling, it's not going to deter you. I don't feel anyway. I just feel like it's just that. Make something that's going to last.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's really, like you said too, I mean, I'm an expat like you are, and so when you're working on building up in a new area, it's like starting over again, and you have the luxury of the native language, whereas I don't. So it's just like, I had to find, you know, sometimes I'm doing readings for Russian people where German is our middle language. And it's just like, but I don't read in German most of the time because I don't feel, you know, there's some things that I just feel better about doing in English, you know, so if I can avoid that, I don't. But I do take the occasional German speaking client. But another thing that you're talking about is investing time, investing money, investing in your business. And we are business people, and you know, even in my group I talk about this a lot too. I don't mind that PayPal takes a percentage of my money. I don't mind putting money into advertising. I don't mind paying a good web developer for his or her time, because at the end of the day, that's supporting other businesses. That's saying, hey, PayPal, here's a percentage of what I'm earning because you have a business and I have a business, and I honor your business and you're honoring my business. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And so many people get mad about like Facebook charging pay to play, you know, charging for ads and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't mean to be like, here, take my money, but that's kind of how I am, because I recognize that they have a business to run too, and they have people to pay, and their platform is there, and I am, you know, I'm using it. So of course I have to respect and honor their business. And so, you know, when you are, I know you're recently started looking for a VA, and, you know, doing that, you want to find somebody who's the best fit for your company. And the best fit for your company probably isn't somebody who's charging $3 an hour.
Right.
You know, and that person comes with skills and, you know, this and that and the other thing. So I think it's really important that we as members of community who want to make a fair and reasonable amount for our work, should expect to pay a fair and reasonable amount for the people who work for us as well. I feel like it's more of a symbiotic relationship than like an exploitative relationship at that point. And it's the same with people charging for their readings. You know, I don't have time to do like a 27-page write-up for $3. I'm not going to compete with those people. I will keep a list of those people to refer clients who want cheaper readings. That's fine and dandy with me. But if somebody wants to, I had somebody last week who emailed me, is that your best price? Yes, it is. It is my best price. I'm not going to discount my work. Yeah. So, yeah, because there's a lot that people don't realize that I'm putting into these readings as well, as far as money out of my pocket, you know, and you do the same. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that. Another one that I get about paying people is pay your artists. Because I've got decks, I get a lot of people saying, how did you find your artists and what did you pay them? And it's like, I'm not going to give you, like, I don't have the time to kind of go, because that's a massive thing to explain to someone anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But the process is just so involved and different every time. But it's like, you know, I've seen a few calls to, I want an artist, but they're like, you'll get exposure. It's like, no, pay your artists. Like, they need to eat too. You can't expect them to live on exposure. And unless you are able to guarantee them something back, I find some, and that's scarcity mentality, you know, like that's really going like, I'm worried and I'm not trusting myself and I'm not trusting my product or my ability or whatever it may be, whatever the root cause of that belief is. But yeah, pay your people. Right. Worth it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, especially like artists. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm an art fan to begin with. So I'm like, I look at people and, you know, I'm just like, ooh, I would love to create a deck with this person or that person or the other person. But that's some skilled, refined labor there. And yeah, you can't just be like, oh, well, hey, you know, give me 78 beautiful pieces of art for free. And then maybe you'll get some, you know, so
I'll give you a $50 Amazon gift card.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no. So, no.
So how do you combat, or how have you combated the age-old issue of comparison? So having a look at what's going on in our world and how do you kind of stay in your own space, and what's your advice for people who are really struggling with comparison?
You know, it's simple. I've been my own person for a really long time. I was like, you know, and so for me, there is only one me, and I don't need to compare myself or my work or how I do things to any other person. I don't want to be anybody else, number one. I like who I am. I'm dorky. I am, you know, I go off on tangents. I'm very flippant, but at the same time, I'm very pragmatic. Yeah, so I want to be me, and I don't want to be you, and you're awesome, and I love your work. And so for me, it's like almost like a non-issue. I don't want to try and be anybody else, and you shouldn't want to try and be anybody else, nor should anybody listening to this. And so I could look all day at what you're doing, or what is it, Vixen? She does videos as well. She wears like the
Vixen New Age Hipster.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. To see what you're doing, what you're talking about, what the trends are. But as far as anything else, I want to make my own opinion. I want to check it out. I want to look at the decks myself and formulate what I think about them. I don't need to echo, you know, what you're saying or what anybody else is saying. I want to be my own voice in it. And that's what each of us should be thinking, because each of us is bringing our own unique values, our own unique insights, our own unique filter into this. So I think it's really important to look at other people's work, but just be yourself ultimately at the end of the day. So there is no comparison.
Mm. and I've said this before and I will say it again, but people are often, because there are so many tarot readers out there and mediums and channelers and readers, people are often booking with you for a reason, right? Often they're drawn to you. So it's not about, it's probably like 30% the offer that you have. It's probably 70% or more you. So my advice to people who get stuck in comparison, besides stop trolling other people's stuff, because honestly, it's just going to make you paralyzed with fear. But the other thing is, find out what makes you uniquely you. And if you haven't done this for yourself, it is a true gift in and outside of business. So it's, what can you offer? What can you share? What experience, what background, what magic, what brings you joy can you offer and put to the table that nobody else can? Because no one can replace that or try to copy that. And that's where the secret sauce for me, I find, really is.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Very well put.
Well, thank you. How do you feel about seeing things on, and we've, there's so many texts, there's so many tarot books, so many tarot decks. Where do you draw the line between like admiring something that you're seeing and then someone maybe copying it a little bit too closely? Or how do you feel we can be good members of the community in sharing each other's work or honoring the inspiration if you've gone, oh, that inspired me to do something?
Totally. Name people, tag them, name them, say, I've shared your new moon or full moon readings on my own blog, and I'm like, I got this from Ethany Dawn. Here is a link to Ethany Dawn's work. If you like this reading, you can find more about it. And always give proper attribution. Don't ever steal anybody's art or their pictures or whatever, because it's, number one, it's wrong. Number two, it's not yours, but then also I've created, you reached out to me. I didn't even think you knew who I was, like, on your radar, you know what I mean? So it was just like, oh, so you're creating these relationships with people because, or like, for example, I don't think you'll mind, but I just bought Benabelle's year planner, her day planner.
Oh, I've got that too, the metaphysical year planner. Oh, yes. I've got that as well, yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so fabulous. So I took pictures of it and everything, but I tag her in it. I say specifically whose it is, because if people are asking for it, if I admire somebody else's work, I want them to get the credit for creating that work. And I guess, I've been in the art community for a really long time as well. So that for me is just like a I would never think to be like, oh, this is mine, but now I know that we have to go to the point of watermarking pictures and, making sure. And I do report people if I see people printing bootlegged decks and things like that. I totally report that to Facebook, because that's just wrong to take somebody else's hard work and effort and then try and print it out and pawn it off as your own and keep them out of the situation. I mean, it's even when you're doing a blog post about a deck, you should always say whose deck it is, so that if somebody likes it, then they can go back and buy that deck themselves. You're not the originator of that stuff. So it's common courtesy. It's the way that the world goes around in my world. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've recently went through, it's happened a couple of times to me in my online career, but I recently went through something similar where I had to now start putting my logo on my social posts because people were just copying and pasting and taking it. And it's like, I don't mind if you share it, share away, but when you are posting it to your groups and things like that, saying that it's yours, that's like, I sit there and I write this myself, I take the photos and I edit them and
right.
So, and also a little PSA, a friendly PSA, if all tarot decks on wish.com are fake. They are stolen, and they are reproduced without the permission of the creators, authors, and artists and publishers. So if you see those cheap knockoffs on Wish, run, avoid, because all those wonderful creators are not getting paid for their work.
Right. Yeah. And you have to watch too, like eBay and Etsy, and I understand you want decks. I want decks, you want decks, we all want decks. And yeah, but at the end of the day, there's print money involved. There's so much involved in the background that it's just good karma. If we have to just like break it down and say it's bad to do bad things and it's good to do
Don't
good
be bad.
things.
Be a nice person.
Yeah. But I mean, that at the end of the day, it's just, do to somebody else what you'd want them to do to you. And I know a lot of people didn't realize, because I've asked before, and they think that anything that's on the internet is just public property. And it's not, words. It cracks me up when people are like putting copyright all over their words and everything. These words are mine, this picture is mine and everything, but they never give credit to the person whose deck they're using. So it's just, if you're copywriting your stuff, then make sure that you're giving proper credit to the people whose work you're using as well.
Absolutely. It's going to go a long way to the longevity of your business as well, just because, we're a small community within a larger one, especially the tarot community inside the more metaphysical one. And we're not that online, especially, like there's a few groups, but yeah, we kind of all run into each other at some point. And it's just good karma. Right.
Yeah, and it's making sure that you have a great reputation within the community as well. I mean, nobody can knock having a good reputation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are some of the foundations, the strong foundations you think people should focus on if they want to? If they're like, this is my calling, I really want to move into doing tarot as a business?
Number one, set up strong foundations. I did create a worksheet that I put up on my website just for you today. But, your business is a business. Treat it like a business from the start. Make sure, number one, that you can legally read tarot in your state or country or whatever, that you're not going to be sued or experience fines or get shut down or imprisoned. In some situations, with the political climate being the way it is around the world, in some places, I think it's almost dangerous, to read tarot. So find out, if you need disclaimers, find out what disclaimers are. That's like saying, I can't give you legal or medical, lottery numbers. I love that one. Like, you think I would be reading tarot on the internet if I had numbers? But, keep all of your receipts, find out what your expenses are for your business. When you're paying these web developers, you can knock that off your taxes, your website, sometimes your house. If you work from at home, you can deduct a portion of that. Trips, like if I want to go to a tarot convention, I can, deduct my hotel, my food, my travel, because this is all expenses that are going towards my business. And I recommend getting sheet protectors and keeping all of your invoices and receipts in those sheet protectors. Doing your accounting, if you ask my husband, he would be like seriously, every month he's like, how are your numbers? And I'm like, flying him the bird, because I just don't want to talk about my numbers because I'm really, really bad at that. But last year, 2016 tax season, I didn't do my taxes properly, and then I ended up with a $2,000 bill, and I had lawyers coming after me, and they were gonna and I'm in Austria, so I'm like, what is this lawyer telling me, find out what your tax rate is in your community and just get in the habit of putting some of that money aside. Don't just consider it to be all free money. Like, ooh, I made $900 this month. If I made $900 this month, I have to put 250 aside, because especially like we have social medicine here. So I have to pay for my, socialförsäkring and all of that stuff. So this is a business. And if you want it to be a business, you have to set it up properly. You have to be, there is so much room for creativity and getting inspiration and being very spiritual. But part of spirituality is grounding and being, and taking care of that, because when you take care of your money, it tends to amplify. So, it's not only the foundational part of that, it's also being a good ward of the material aspect of your life. So I think that's really important. Let's see. Professional is not sloppy, in my opinion. I think that Grammarly is really good. If you don't want to pay an editor or a copywriter or a proofreader or something like that, just take the time and download Grammarly and have it on because it underlines all of your mistakes. And remember that you are the face of your company, you are the face of your enterprise. And so you have to kind of interact with groups and your blog and social media and everything like that as if you have your business face on. And you can be goofy and silly and every once in a while not have your makeup on or whatever. But I'm saying when you're sending a reading to somebody, have a template, have a logo, double check your grammar and spelling. Let's see, trying to think.
For those of you, just to interject there, for those of you who don't know what Grammarly is, it is the add-on extension that you can get for Google Chrome. It's free from the Google Play Shop, and all you need to do is just search for it and then install it in your browser, and it will do everything, like emails, everything. It's really life-saving because, I got to admit, spelling and grammar has never been a strong point of mine, but I don't let that stop me.
Well, see, and you found a way around it, so that's good, at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you write books and everything too. So I mean,
I just had to learn a few things, but like skills. But it was definitely language is not an issue. It's more just the way in which I write like I speak. So therefore, I have to shift it from this is the way I talk to this is the way it should be read. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And of course, when you're writing, you don't want to sound like you're like a medical textbook, and then the left side, but at least you want to have some semblance of I just hate when I download a book on Kindle or whatever and you open it up and it's just like a mess on the inside, or if you go to a website and it's a mess. And I know some people are just like, hey, don't knock it and this and that and the other thing, but I'm just like, no, you're trying to be a professional. So professional is professional. It means something to me. It means a different level of observation of everything that you put into it. So also have the skills. Copy pasting meanings is not a good way to do a tarot reading, a professional tarot reading, especially if you're copy and pasting from somebody else. So,
plagiarism.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think. When you're first starting out, I'm sorry.
No, keep going.
Okay, I know. I'm sorry. I'm a little verbose sometimes, but you can work at psychic hotlines at first too, even though sometimes the percentages that you get are not the greatest thing, and they're kind of exploitative in some respects, but it's a way to bring in a regular
income,
at least some regular money, and also start growing a clientele when you're first starting out. So, you know, it helps you set up a foundation. So and then remember too, that you're not going to be like totally busy the whole time. So don't have that as an expectation. So,
awesome.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you for those. That's some very, very good foundations there for sure. You know, treating your business like a business and making sure you've got the skill. I mean, that's fantastic. So how can we work with you, and tell us a little bit about what your offers are online?
Okay, thank you. So I do one-to-one mentoring. So I can help a person, you know, start up, get everything set up. I do a lot of proofreading and editing work for spiritual entrepreneurs as well. So that's one of my like key places. You can find me at www.SueEllisSaller, and it's a terrible name for a website. It's SueEllisSaller.com.
Like Mississippi.
Yeah, exactly.
Double S, double L. I'll put the links for all this, by the way, in the blog post and everything. So,
okay, thank you. And I also just started Spiritual Business Spotlight, which is a directory, and it's turning into a community where people can, like, I'll be doing podcasts, interviews. I have a directory on there. I'm always looking for writers. And basically what it is for newbie spiritual entrepreneurs who may not have a website or a following yet. And it's kind of like giving them a directory that's not like an exploitative directory.
Awesome.
And also teaching them, giving them the opportunity to join this new school that I'm starting, the Spiritual Business Spotlight School, or Spiritual Business Basics, I think. And I'm working on that right now. I'll be figuring out the details for that. So if somebody signs up for the Tarot from Hobby to Business checklist, they'll be on my mailing list, and then I'll keep them in the loop on that. So
awesome. And that is something that you can grab. I will put the link to the checklist in the blog post and also in the description of the video if you're watching this on YouTube. You should definitely check it out. Just, it's nice to have something where you can actually look and make sure you haven't missed anything, and to have some guidelines and some framework to go about setting things up. Now, is there anything that you may want to close off with or finish with or share with our audience?
Well, thank you, first of all, Ethany, for having me on here. I really appreciate it, and I was very honored to be here. And for the rest of everybody out there, I think you put it really well. The world needs your light. They need your voice. They need your take on tarot. Don't get caught up in comparing yourself to other people. Just be who you are, and, you know, enjoy the community. Enjoy the ride of setting up and running with your own business, because it can be so fabulous, so magical, and just a wonderful addition to your life. So treat it like, you know, put good energy into it and good expectations, and keep growing it, nurturing it, loving it, and usually you'll sow the seeds that you put. Or yeah. I'm really bad.
You'll harvest the seeds at some point when they become beautiful pumpkins or whatever. Tarot pumpkins.
Thank you. Yeah, that.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me and with everyone today. I really appreciate it. And as I mentioned before, you can find all the information of how to work with Sue in the description of the YouTube video and in the blog post. And we will see you next time.